now, as I walk you down on the chart to the onto the left side, if you would focus on the 88 Brigade headquarters. Now, this is a great initiative that has started really about in the last 2 years, and we're actually on our 4th rotation, and that is we have a regionally aligned air defense brigade supporting the command here in Europe, and that is a game changer because you know one of the biggest differences between the 88 Brigade and the AAMC is in 2 areas. One is on sustainment, a greater capacity and experience within that brigade headquarters. But also, that is the key point that engages with our allies and our partners at the brigade and below. And what's unique about this is that the brigade that rotates in is one of the 3 Army National Guard brigades in the United States. So we have the 678th 88 Brigade here now. There's also the 174th out of Ohio, and most recently we just had the 164th 88 Brigade from Florida. These teams are well trained, and I really want to thank the 1st Army Division East for putting together a rigorous, culminating training event for these commands coming over here. Appreciate the work with them on that and getting these teams ready to conduct air missile operations in Europe. But one of the big differences, I'll tell you, with an air defense brigade coming from the Army National Guard is they don't have organic Patriot battalions. And so, you know, we first thought that was possibly a limitation, but South Carolina Army National Guard, the 263rd AADC, Major General Tim Sheriff, Brigadier General Frank Rice, and took initiative setting up a Patriot training plan. And it's really been effective. And I want to tell you, one of the areas we've really seen the big benefit is on the Air Defense Artillery Fire Control Officer, the DAFCOs. And most recently, those teams came over here as they rotated in from the 678th, and they actually certified 2 DAFCO teams at the table 8, and that's the first time we've had this. So it shows you the depth to our bench here of producing not only different DAFCOs, but what they do is a critical enabler into the joint kill chain. And so really great job there by the team, but also the demand, not only for the 88 Brigade, but is also for the Patriot Force. As you know, we have one Patriot Battalion, that's 570 and we continue to see, you know, the op-tempo increase for this battalion with the engagement with our allies. And what good news over here in Europe right now is that there is a significant increase in capacity for Patriot amongst our allies within NATO, and also our bilateral relationships, specifically with Sweden. And of course, we have a long-standing bilateral relationship with Israel. And I tell you, this growth is exciting because we're able to work side by side with our allies, you know, share with them lessons learned. And most recently is Romania just received their first Patriot battery. Sweden will be receiving their air defense Patriot units this time next year. Close relationship there, and I know some of the Swedes are in the courses there at Fort Sill, and with Colonel Svensson from the Sweden Royal Air Defense Regiment, we have a real good relationship. Most recently, I came over and observed 5.7's gunnery, and so we continually do events just to share those lessons learned from our combined arms training strategy. In about 2 years, Poland will be receiving their Patriot unit, and I tell you, that's another area with great work. And I know Colonel Rich Harrison, Command Sergeant Major Gray, you know, they just received the first Polish soldiers, and they're coming from the 3rd Air Defense Brigade. So I know some of you might be out there in the audience, and it was just a great event we had last week in support of an exercise called Astral Night. And here we are establishing interoperability with Patriot battalions and SA-3 squadrons, and building those tactical SOPs. And so when they receive the Patriot, we'll be up and running and continuing to build that strong partnership relations that we have. Now also, you heard Lieutenant General Dan Karbler highlight our newest addition to the AAMC team here, and that is 5488, the Army's first short-range air defense battalion that we've activated since really 2005, when we removed the last SHORAD battalion from the division. And I got to tell you, exceptional leaders. And you look at the accomplishments. Just when, you know, arrived a year ago, this unit had really stood up in less than a year and established their crew proficiencies at the table 8, just you're talk about a year. And so when you look at it from a Dotland PF perspective, great work, great teamwork here from U.S. Army Europe. But I'd also like to thank the HRC G3 team, and specifically OPMD, Lieutenant Colonel Redford, and then Lieutenant Colonel Barry Carter, on what you did to ensure we got the right soldiers at the right time. And that really built our readiness over here. And then I'll talk a little bit more about return of short-range air defense later in my brief. As I move to the right, you'll also see we have our missile defense batteries, the 11th located in Turkey, and then the 13th located in Israel. And these tactical units really have strategic effects in what they do for not only for being able to provide that surveillance for ballistic missiles, but also their support for space activity. And I got to tell you, there are so many different command support relationships with these units, but in the end, they are members of Team 10. We embrace these units. We have frequent touch points with them. And I'll tell you what, just managing their growth, whether it's in building new infrastructure on these sites, providing support for the leaders out there, especially in this COVID environment. And so we want to thank Space Missile Defense Command, and most specifically the Space Brigade, our close relationship with them, and as we continue to embrace these units. And then last, another example of what we're doing to build capacity here, and this one really kind of builds back to the